Most people believe that getting rich is about earning more money. They think if they could just get that promotion, find a better job, or start making six figures, all their financial problems would disappear. They're completely wrong. Here's a reality check that might shock you. About 40 to 50% of Americans earning over $100,000 per year still live paycheck to paycheck. Meanwhile, there are people earning $50,000 who are systematically building wealth and heading toward financial independence. The difference isn't how much they earn, it's how they manage what they earn. Today, I'm going to reveal exactly how the rich manage their money, not the flashy stuff you see on social media, but the real strategies that separate those who build lasting wealth from those who just look wealthy. We're going to explore the actual composition of wealth in the world, understand why the truly wealthy don't have salaried employees, and learn the exact formula the top 1% use to manage their money. By the end of this, you'll understand why your current approach to money is keeping you broke, and more importantly, you'll have the exact blueprint to start managing your money like someone who's destined to be rich. Because here's the truth, being wealthy isn't about how much you make, it's about what you do with what you make. Before we dive into how to manage money like the rich, we need to understand who the rich actually are, because if you're trying to copy the wrong people, you'll never get the results you want. When we analyze the truly wealthy, not just high earners, but people with substantial assets, here's what we find. 60 to 70% are entrepreneurs and business owners. These aren't just people who started businesses. These are people who built enterprises that generate income without their constant presence. They own systems, not just jobs. 15 to 20% are professional investors. These include private equity managers, real estate investors at scale, and financial professionals who have mastered the art of making money work for them. They don't trade time for money. They trade expertise for equity. 10 to 15% inherited their wealth. The old money families, trust funds, generational wealth. They were born into systems that were already generating wealth. 3 to 5% are high-earning professionals, doctors, lawyers, senior executives, but notice, they only make up a tiny fraction of the wealthy, and most of them only stay wealthy by combining their high incomes with smart investing strategies. 2 to 3% are entertainers and athletes, the top performers in sports, music, and entertainment. But here's the key, only those who learn to invest their earnings wisely maintain their wealth long-term. 0% are employees who just collect a salary. Read that again. 0% of the truly wealthy are people whose only source of income is an employee salary. What this means. The common thread among all wealthy people isn't that they earn more per hour, it's that they own something. Entrepreneurs own businesses, investors own assets, rich kids own trust funds, athletes and entertainers own rare, valuable skills. If you don't own something that generates income independently of your direct time investment, you are what's owned. This isn't a judgment, it's reality. If your income stops the moment you stop working, you're not on the path to wealth. You're on the path to a slightly more comfortable version of dependency. Here's why being an employee, no matter how well paid, will never make you wealthy. First, there's an income ceiling. No matter how talented you are, your salary has limits set by someone else's budget and priorities. Second, you're trading time for money. There are only 24 hours in a day. Even if you're earning $500 per hour, you can only work so many hours. Third, you have no equity. When the company grows and becomes more valuable, you don't own a piece of that growth. You might get a bonus, but you'll never get the exponential returns that ownership provides. Fourth, you have no control over your primary income source. Someone else can eliminate your income with a single decision. The wealthy understand this. That's why they focus on owning assets, not earning wages. The 25 to 15 to 50 to 10 rule. Now that you understand what wealthy people actually do, let's talk about how they manage their money. This is the framework that separates wealth builders from wealth dreamers. The wealthy don't manage money the same way middle-class people do. They don't budget. They don't cut coupons. They don't try to save their way to wealth. Instead, they follow what I call the 25-15-50-10 rule. This is how you allocate every dollar that comes into your life. 25% goes to growth, 15% goes to stability, 50% goes to essentials, 10% goes to rewards. Let me break down each category and show you exactly how this works. 25% for growth, making your money work. The first 25% of your income should go toward growth. This is the money that works for you while you sleep. This is how you break free from trading time for money. Most people get this completely wrong. They think growth means saving money in a bank account. They think growth means getting a slightly higher interest rate on their savings. They think growth means being conservative and safe. The wealthy think differently. They understand that money sitting in a bank account isn't growing. It's dying slowly due to inflation. Let me show you why this 25% is the most important part of your financial future. Meet Mike and John. Both are 25 years old. Both decide they want to build wealth. Mike starts investing $1,000 per month immediately. He invests in the S&P 500, which has historically returned about 10% annually. John decides to wait. He has other priorities. He'll start investing when he's ready, when he has more money, when he's figured everything out. John finally starts investing at age 35. 10 years later. To catch up, he invests $1,500 per month. Here's what happens. By age 45, Mike has about $630,000. John has about $240,000. By age 55, Mike has about $1.65 million. John has about $680,000. By age 65, Mike has about $4.3 million. John has about $1.4 million. Mike invested for 40 years. John invested for 30 years. Mike put in $480,000 total. John put in $540,000 total. John invested more money, but Mike ended up with 3 times more wealth. That's the power of compound growth. That's why the wealthy prioritize growth over everything else except basic survival needs. So where should your 25% growth money go? Here are the main options, from most accessible to most advanced. Index funds. Start here. These funds track the entire market, like the S&P 500. You're not trying to pick winners. You're buying a piece of the entire economy. Historical returns are around 7 to 10% annually over long periods. Real estate investment trusts, REITs. These let you invest in real estate without buying property directly. REITs, like VNQ, give you exposure to hundreds of properties with just a few $100s. But investing isn't only about money. Let me be more specific about skill development as an investment. When I say investing $2,000 in learning can increase your income by tens of thousands, here's exactly how that works. High-value skills and their ROI. Digital marketing, a $1,500 course combined with practice, can help you start a consulting business, charging $75 to $150 per hour. Annual potential, $50,000 to $150,000 additional income. Coding, a $2,000 bootcamp or self-directed learning program can lead to entry-level developer positions starting at $60,000 to $80,000 annually, with senior roles reaching $150,000 plus. Sales training and certification can increase commission-based earnings immediately. Top salespeople often earn 2 to 3 times more than their colleagues with the same base salary. Project management. PMP certification costs around $1,000 and can increase salary by $10,000 to $20,000 annually. But here's the key. Most people learn the skill and stop there. Wealthy people learn the skill, then figure out how to monetize it independently. They don't just get better jobs, they create income streams. And the good news is starting a business doesn't require massive capital. Here's how successful people typically scale up. Level 1, $0 to $1,000. Service-based businesses using existing skills, consulting, freelancing, tutoring, your time for money, but at higher rates than employment. Level 2, $1,000 to $10,000. Product-based businesses, e-commerce, digital products, small local services, systems that can work without your constant presence. Level 3, $10,000 to $50,000. Scalable businesses, multiple employees, recurring revenue, franchises. Your systems generate income while you work on growth. Level 4, $50,000 plus. Investment businesses, buying existing businesses, real estate at scale, creating multiple income streams. Most people try to jump to level 4 without mastering the previous levels. That's why they fail. Individual stocks and alternative investments should only be approached once you've mastered the basics. Most people lose money picking individual stocks due to lack of knowledge and discipline, while alternatives like cryptocurrency, precious metals, or collectibles are speculative and should never exceed 5% of your growth allocation. Here's how wealthy people actually implement this. They automate everything. On payday, 25% of their income automatically transfers to their investment accounts. They never see it in their checking account. They never have to make the decision to invest. It happens automatically. Then, within their investment accounts, they set up automatic purchases. Every month, their money automatically buys more index funds, more REITs, more of whatever their strategy requires. This removes the temptation to spend the money on something else. It makes wealth building inevitable rather than optional. 15% for stability. Your financial safety net. The next 15% of your income goes towards stability. This is your emergency fund, your financial safety net, your insurance against life's inevitable surprises. Most financial advice tells you to save 3 to 6 months of expenses. The wealthy think differently. They save 5 months of essential expenses, not total expenses. They're more strategic about what they consider essential. So why stability matters? Let me tell you about Tom and Chris. Both worked at the same logistics company. Both earned similar salaries. Both got laid off in the same round of budget cuts. Tom had built up a $15,000 emergency fund, exactly 5 months of his essential expenses. When he lost his job, he didn't panic. He took his time finding the right opportunity. He negotiated his next salary from a position of strength because he wasn't desperate. Chris had no emergency fund. He immediately started panicking. He took the first job offer he received, even though it paid less than his previous job. Worse, he had to put his living expenses on credit cards for 2 months while job hunting, creating a debt burden at 20% interest that took him years to pay off. The difference wasn't their skills or their connections. The difference was that Tom had prepared for volatility while Chris had hoped it wouldn't happen. That brings us to the question, how to calculate your stability fund. Your essential monthly expenses include housing, food, utilities, electricity, water, internet for work, transportation, gas, car payment if necessary, insurance, health, car, minimum debt payments. Notice what's not included: dining out, entertainment, hobbies, non-essential subscriptions, expensive clothes. If your essential expenses are $3,000 per month, your stability fund should be $15,000. This money must be completely safe. No risk of loss, immediately accessible, available within 24 hours, earning some return to fight inflation. In the United States, high-yield savings accounts are perfect for this. Banks like Ally, Marcus by Goldman Sachs, and Capital One offer 4 to 5% annual returns with FDIC insurance and immediate access. And here are the 3 tactics for building stability. Tactic 1. The moment your paycheck hits your account, 15% automatically transfers to your emergency fund. Make it completely hands-off. Tactic 2. If you use emergency funds, you immediately replace them with your next paycheck. If your car repair costs $800, you add $800 back to the fund before any discretionary spending. Tactic 3. Use apps that round up your purchases and save the difference. Use credit card cashback rewards to boost your emergency fund. These small amounts add up faster than you expect. 50% for essentials, living below your means. Now we get to the 50% for essentials. This is where most people destroy their wealth-building potential without realizing it. Here's what typically happens. Someone gets a promotion or a new job. Their income increases by $1,000 per month. Instead of saving and investing that extra $1,000, they immediately upgrade their lifestyle. They move to a more expensive apartment. They buy a newer car. They eat out more often. They justify each upgrade individually. I deserve this. I work hard. I can afford it now. Within months, their expenses have grown to match their new income. They're earning more but saving the same amount, or often less, because they feel like they can afford to be less disciplined. This is how people earning $100,000 end up living paycheck to paycheck, just like people earning $50,000. The rich are ruthless about defining essential. Essential means necessary for survival and basic functioning. It doesn't mean comfortable or enjoyable or impressive. Essentials include housing, food, groceries for home cooking, utilities, electricity, water, internet, phone, transportation, getting to work and essential activities, insurance, health, auto, renters/homeowners, basic clothing. Essentials do not include dining out regularly, premium cable packages, multiple streaming services, expensive gym memberships you barely use, brand name everything, New cars, when reliable used cars would work. Homes in the most expensive neighborhoods. Housing and transportation are the two biggest essential categories. They typically consume the majority of most people's essential spending. These are where you can make the biggest impact. The old rule was 30% of income for housing. In today's market, that's often unrealistic. The rich never let housing consume more than 40% of their income, and they constantly look for ways to reduce this percentage. Strategies include negotiating rent renewals, house hacking, renting out rooms, buying multifamily properties, and living in one unit, staying in affordable areas longer than your peers. Similarly, car payments are wealth killers. The wealthy buy reliable used cars and drive them until repairs become more expensive than the car's value. They understand that a car is a depreciating asset. Borrowing money to buy a depreciating asset is financial suicide. Instead of a $40,000 new car, they buy a 3 to 4-year-old reliable model for $15,000. When you're tempted to buy something, ask yourself 3 questions. Is this an impulse purchase? If yes, wait 7 days. Most impulse purchases lose their appeal after a week. Am I buying the brand or the value? If you're paying extra for the logo, you're making an emotional decision, not a financial one. Will this genuinely improve my life? Not just provide momentary pleasure, but actually make my life meaningfully better. These questions prevents most unnecessary spending while allowing purchases that truly add value. 10% for rewards. Maintaining your sanity. The final 10% goes to rewards, the things that make life enjoyable and keep you motivated to stick with your financial plan. Why rewards matter. Research shows that 92% of people who try intensive saving without any rewards end up spending sprees that destroy their progress. Depriving yourself completely is not sustainable. The rich understand this. They build enjoyment into their financial plan rather than fighting against their desire for pleasure. Experiences over things. Vacations, concerts, dinners with friends, hobbies that create memories. These provide lasting satisfaction and don't clutter your life with stuff. Relationship investments, gifts for family, celebrations with friends, activities that strengthen your social bonds. Wealthy people understand that relationships are both personally fulfilling and professionally valuable. Health and recovery. Massages, quality food, activities that restore your energy and keep you performing at your best. Personal interests, whatever genuinely brings you joy, whether that's golf, photography, music, art, or anything else. And let's reinforce this habit by opening a separate bank account called your Joy Jar. Every month, 10% of your income automatically goes into this account. The rules are simple. Spend it on anything that makes you happy. Don't feel guilty about it. When it's gone, wait until next month. Never borrow from other categories to fund rewards. This creates a sustainable balance. You're building wealth with 25% growth and 15% stability. You're living responsibly with 50% essentials, and you're enjoying life with 10% rewards. The psychology of wealth building. Understanding the mechanics of wealth building is only half the battle. The other half is understanding the psychology, why most people fail to implement these principles even when they know them. We live in a culture of immediate satisfaction. You can buy anything with one click. You can get food delivered in 30 minutes. You can stream any movie instantly. But wealth building requires delayed gratification. It requires saying no to things you want today so you can have financial freedom tomorrow. The rich have learned to flip this mindset. Instead of seeing delayed gratification as sacrifice, they see it as investment. Every dollar not spent on immediate pleasure is a dollar working to buy future freedom. Most people think linearly. They see $500 and think about what they can buy with $500. Rich people think in compound terms. They see $500 and think about what it could become. At 8% annual returns, that $500 becomes $1,000 in 9 years. It becomes $2,000 in 18 years. It becomes $4,000 in 27 years. They're not just spending $500, they're spending the opportunity for that $500 to become thousands of dollars over time. The rich are obsessed with ownership, not ownership of expensive things, but ownership of assets that generate income. They would rather own a small apartment building that generates $2,000 per month than lease a luxury car that costs $1,500 per month. They would rather own skills that can generate consulting income than own expensive gadgets that lose value. They would rather own index funds that appreciate over time than own designer clothes that go out of style. Most people make financial decisions based on their current situation. The wealthy make decisions based on where they want to be in 10, 20, or 30 years. They're willing to live in a modest apartment today if it means they can buy an apartment building tomorrow. They're willing to drive an older car today if it means they can afford not to work tomorrow. They're willing to skip expensive dinners today if it means they can retire early tomorrow. Once you've mastered the 25 to 15 to 50 to 10 rule, there are advanced strategies that can accelerate your wealth building. The rich use every tax-advantaged account available to them. 401k plans. If your employer offers matching contributions, this is free money. Always contribute enough to get the full match. Roth IRAs. You pay taxes on the money you contribute, but all growth and withdrawals in retirement are tax-free. For young people, this is often the best deal available. SAS, health savings accounts, triple tax advantage, deductible contributions, tax-free growth, tax-free withdrawals for medical expenses. Traditional IRAs, tax-deductible contributions with taxed withdrawals in retirement. The rich don't try to time the market. They don't wait for crashes to start investing. They don't try to predict when to buy and sell. Instead, they use dollar-cost averaging, investing the same amount every month regardless of market conditions. When the market is high, their money buys fewer shares. When the market is low, their money buys more shares. Over time, this averages out to a reasonable price and eliminates the emotional component of investing. Plus, the rich continuously invest in developing valuable skills. Not just any skills, but specifically skills that are in high demand, are difficult to replace with automation, can generate income independently, compound over time. For examples, sales, marketing, coding, project management, financial analysis, public speaking. Eventually, the wealthy move beyond just investing in other people's businesses to building their own. This doesn't necessarily mean quitting your job immediately. Many wealthy people started with side businesses. Consulting in their area of expertise, creating and selling digital products, building service businesses, investing in franchises. The key is to start small, test the market, and scale gradually. Common mistakes that keep people broke. Even people who understand these principles often make critical mistakes that sabotage their progress. Mistake number 1. Waiting to start. I'll start investing when I earn more money. I'll start when I pay off my debt. I'll start when I have more time to research. Time is the most important factor in compound growth. Every month you delay starting is exponentially more expensive than you realize. Mistake number 2. Trying to pick winners. Buying individual stocks based on tips, news, or gut feelings. This is gambling, not investing. The wealthy focus on broad market exposure through index funds. Mistake number 3. Lifestyle inflation. Every raise or bonus immediately gets absorbed by increased spending. The wealthy maintain their lifestyle while increasing their wealth-building rate. Mistake number 4. Emotional decision-making. Selling when markets crash, buying when markets peak, making financial decisions based on fear or greed rather than long-term strategy. Let me show you how this actually works in practice with 3 real examples of people who transformed their financial lives using these principles. Case study 1. Sarah, the teacher. Sarah was earning $45,000 as a teacher. She felt stuck because teaching salaries have natural limits, but she loved her work. Her implementation: 25% growth, $937.50 monthly into index funds. 15% stability, $562.50 into high-yield savings. 50% essentials, $1,875 for housing, food, transportation. 10% rewards, $187.50 for personal enjoyment. The challenge: her essentials were actually costing $2,200, leaving nothing for growth or stability. Her solution: she house-hacked by renting out 2 rooms in her 3-bedroom house for $600 each. This reduced her effective housing cost by $1,200 monthly. The results: after 3 years, she had $35,000 in index funds, $20,000 in emergency savings, and had started a tutoring business generating an extra $15,000 annually. Her net worth grew by over $70,000, while many of her teacher colleagues remained broke. Case Study 2. Marcus, the software engineer. Marcus earned $85,000 but was living paycheck to paycheck due to lifestyle inflation, new car payments, expensive apartment, constant dining out. His wake-up call: he calculated he was spending $7,200 monthly on a $7,083 after-tax income. He was literally going into debt every month despite his good salary. His implementation: moved to a cheaper apartment, saving $800 monthly. Sold his car and bought a reliable used Honda, saving $650 monthly. Started meal prepping instead of dining out, saving $400 monthly. His reallocation: 25% growth, $1,771 monthly, $21,250 annually. 15% stability, $1,062 monthly. 50% essentials, $3,542, now possible with lifestyle changes. 10% rewards, $354. The results: within 18 months, he had $32,000 invested and $16,000 in emergency savings. He started a side consulting business and increased his income to $120,000. Most importantly, he felt financially secure for the first time in years. Case study 3. Jennifer, the single mom. Jennifer earned $38,000 as a customer service representative while raising 2 children. Everyone told her she couldn't invest because she needed every dollar for expenses. Her strategy: she started with just $50 monthly, 1.5% of income, into a Roth IRA while building other habits. Her growth plan: Month 1 to 6, $50 monthly investment while tracking expenses. Month 7 to 12, found $150 in expense cuts, increased to $200 monthly. Year 2, got promoted, increased income to $45,000, jumped to $400 monthly. Year 3, started freelance writing, added $200 more monthly. Her results: after 4 years, she had $25,000 invested, $8,000 in emergency savings, and was earning $52,000 from her main job, plus $12,000 from freelancing. Her children saw her building wealth and learned these principles from childhood. The key lessons. These case studies show that the 25 to 15 to 50 to 10 rule works regardless of income level. The key is adapting the implementation to your specific situation while maintaining the core principles. Mistake number 6, perfectionism, paralysis. Here's another critical mistake that keeps people broke: waiting for the perfect strategy before starting. They spend months researching the best index fund, comparing expense ratios, reading endless reviews. Meanwhile, the person who started with any reasonable index fund 3 months ago is already ahead. The difference between a 0.03% expense ratio and a 0.07% expense ratio is trivial compared to the difference between starting now and starting next year. Mistake number 7, social pressure spending. Wealthy people are comfortable being different. They don't feel pressure to match their friends' spending habits. If their friends want to go to an expensive restaurant every week, they suggest alternatives or politely decline. If their colleagues are buying new cars, they keep driving their reliable used car. This requires confidence in your financial priorities over social conformity. Most people sacrifice their financial future to avoid awkward social moments. Mistake number 8, not understanding tax implications. Many people lose thousands annually by not understanding basic tax optimization. Not using employer 401k match-free money. Paying taxes on investment gains in taxable accounts when tax-advantaged options exist. Not understanding how different types of income are taxed. Missing out on business expense deductions when freelancing. Mistake number 9, giving up during market volatility. Markets crash periodically. Your portfolio will lose value sometimes. Wealthy people understand this and continue investing during downturns. Poor people panic and sell at the worst possible time, turning temporary losses into permanent losses. The rich see market crashes as sales events, opportunities to buy quality assets at discounted prices, income and optimizing expenses. The mindset shift. The main difference between wealthy people and the rest isn't their skills or connections, it's their mindset. Most people are conditioned to be consumers. They earn money to spend on things. Wealthy people, on the other hand, think like creators. They focus on generating value that others are willing to pay for. While many believe wealth is finite, Seeing someone else succeed as a loss for themselves, the wealthy know that wealth can be built, not just shared. Most people plan for the short term, this month, this year, maybe the next. Wealthy people plan for decades, for generations, and for the long haul. Instead of trading time for money, they build systems that generate income without their constant involvement. We've covered a lot of ground today. You now understand the real composition of wealth, the 25 to 15 to 50 to 10 rule, and the mindset differences that separate wealth builders from everyone else. But here's what matters most. Information without implementation is just entertainment. You can watch every video about personal finance, read every book about investing, follow every wealthy person on social media. But if you don't implement these strategies, nothing changes. Every day you wait to start implementing these strategies is another day of compound growth lost forever. The choice is yours. You now have the same money management strategies that the wealthy use. You understand why 0% of truly wealthy people rely solely on employee salaries. You know the exact percentages to allocate to growth, stability, essentials, and rewards. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you implement it immediately and start building wealth like the rich? Or will you bookmark this video, tell yourself you'll start soon, and continue managing money like everyone else? 10 years from now, you'll be somewhere. Your financial situation will be the direct result of the decisions you make starting today. You can be the person who wishes they had started 10 years ago, or you can be the person who's grateful they started today. The wealthy don't manage money like the poor and middle class because they're smarter or luckier. They do it because they understand that small, consistent actions compound into extraordinary results over time. You now have their blueprint. The only question is whether you'll use it. It's time to stop managing money like everyone else. Stop hoping your income will solve your money problems. Stop waiting for the perfect time to start investing. Stop making financial decisions based on what looks good to other people. Start managing your money like someone who's destined to be wealthy. Start thinking like an owner, not just an earner. Start building systems that will generate wealth for decades to come. Your wealthy future self is counting on the decisions you make today. Don't let them down. The difference between where you are now and where you want to be isn't luck, inheritance, or a high-paying job. It's the daily decision to manage your money like the rich instead of managing it like everyone else. That decision starts now. What will you choose?